Money changes everything, but money can't buy you love. Money can drive some people out of their minds. Money, it's a crime. Share it fairly, but don't take a slice of my pie. Coming up, we piece together the precarious puzzle of money by the Kings of Progressive Rock, next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you've ever tried to watch The Wizard of Oz while listening to Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon to see if there's anything to that theory, you'll likely enjoy this channel. Hey, we all tried it. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the bell so that you never miss out on our daily content. Also, check out our Patreon for even more content. Help us be a daily channel, and you can see our new merch right up here. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. I want to show you one of the things I got. I got these 5150 Frankenstrat sandals. Are pretty cool. I've got a little bit of a cold, so bear with me, but let's get into it. Pink Floyd. Paraphrased from the King James Bible in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, we find the cautionary scripture, "For the love of money is the root of all evil, and while some have coveted after it, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." Now, regardless of your religious or non-religious persuasion, one can find invaluable wisdom in that particular passage. For a musician, money is a dangerous motivation. The very concept of money can smear the artistic purity of music and taint the honesty of its expression. The value of music is largely measured by appreciative fans who lay their money down to buy songs, albums, concert tickets, and, of course, related merchandise. Just showed you some that I got. I thought you'd enjoy that. Music is an extremely lucrative business. I mean, according to a 2020 figures, the business of music generates more than $23 billion a year. The irony is that an artist usually writes his or her best stuff before the money comes in, when they're hungry and, living on the edge. It's not always the case, but most of the time. You do it because the music is burning inside you, not because you want to get paid. So what is an emerging musical artist to do? The conundrum of money was very interesting to Pink Floyd co-founder Roger Waters. Money, it's a gas. Roger was born in a low-income household. Both of his parents were school teachers. His father, the son of a coal miner, was killed in a battle during the final stages of World War II when Roger was only 5 months old. And, Roger's mother was left to provide for Roger and his brother John. Pink's other principal figure, David Gilmour, he was also an offspring of educators. His father was a zoology lecturer and his mother a trained teacher. Although David Gilmour grew up in a higher economic class than Roger Waters, there was a time when he was so destitute as a struggling artist, he was homeless, and he slept in a broken-down car. Money was sparse around Pink Floyd when Gilmour joined up with Waters, Nick Mason, Richard Wright, and Syd Barrett in December 1967. At that point, money wasn't the priority. It was what to do with the exacerbated mental illness of Syd Barrett, the group's mercurial leader. Syd Barrett's erratic behavior forced his official dismissal from Pink Floyd a few months before the release of the band's second album, A Saucerful of Secrets. The band's fortunes steadily grew during the next 4 years, over 5 studio LPs. Now, during a band meeting at Nick Mason's place before a worldwide tour in 1971, Roger Waters had the idea of the band creating a concept album where each cut centered around subjects that made people mad. The 8th Pink Floyd album, Dark Side of the Moon, would feature the psychedelic experimentations that represented the next level beyond the metal LP, while lyrically, the record would revolve around themes like human conflict with the song Us and Them, insanity with the track Brain Damage, Chronicle of Life with the song Time. The grim reality of death found in The Great Gig in the Sky. What a great track. And the Harrows of Greed with the track Money. Yes, money was an intriguing culprit of many things to Roger Waters. He remembered thinking, well, this is it. I have to decide whether I'm really a socialist or not. Waters was keen on a general welfare society, but he became a capitalist and he had to accept it. Going against biblical counsel found in 1 Timothy that he included on his lyric sheet, Waters coveted a Bentley. He wanted that car in the worst way, along with other possessions that came with accumulating the mean green, if you will. Despite his increasing materialism, Roger Waters recognized the perils of greed, and Money became a tongue-in-cheek composition that mocked excess and consumerism. It also called out the pretentious rich who disguise themselves as philanthropists. The recording of Money starts with, of course, the sound of an active cash register and the chiming of loose change. Waters put together the cash register effect with a splice tape loop that plays throughout the track. He also put in the sound of a currency counter and bags of coins being thrown in an industrial food mixing bowl. Many other studio effects were incorporated into Money. The band and engineer Alan Parsons, the great Alan Parsons, they used a brand new 16-track recorder at the famed Abbey Road Studios, which allowed them to layer those unique sounds much easier. However, since it was many years before digital recorders and samplers like we have today, it took a long time to complete the process. Here's what Alan Parsons told me about that in a long-ranging interview that we did about his career. Now, as we go into this insight, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. Right now, you can choose from so many different styles and colors, and you can actually add super blue light protection to any pair for less than a vinyl record. Blocks with Zenni. You're going to love it. Go to zenni.com today to check it out.
One of the sort of most iconic moments is the loop on Money. The opening, the intro. That was a lot of work. I mean, with Pro Tools and hard disk recording, piece of cake. Just cut out those sounds and make them into a loop. But we were talking about analog tape, and to get that loop sounding right was a lot of work. And it wasn't good enough just to take a sound, cut the tape, join the next sound, cut that tape.
Right.
We actually had to measure the exact length of the tape, otherwise it would have been out of rhythm. So that took some time, and then we ended up with a 1-inch tape, a 4-track loop of those sounds. It was 4-track because we were anticipating a quadraphonic release. Quadraphonic was 1972. Quadraphonic was the new buzzword, and so a lot of the sounds were geared towards quadraphonic. So we made that loop. Each one of the sounds walk around the room.
Now, to further elaborate on the process that Alan explained, a few other parts. In the documentary classic albums, Pink Floyd, The Making of the Dark Side of the Moon, he described the recording of the band's initial backing track for Money. He said that they used the sound effect tape loop as a sort of metronome, but Parsons gradually faded out the loop before the vocals started. As the song progressed, the band gradually sped up the tempo, yet later, between the second verse and the saxophone solo, Alan Parsons briefly raised up the volume of the effects loop, and just by coincidence, it turned out to fit the beat. After this point, the loop is not heard again. Now, Alan Parsons was responsible for creating many of the innovative special effects and the overall flow of the entire album. The distinct effects and different voices were very important to the overall feel and theme of the album. Here's what he said about that.
The clocks on time, that was another sort of big quadraphonic moment. which the origins of that are fairly interesting. I mean, I had recorded all these clocks for a sound effects recording, commissioned by EMI, and we never really got much exposure. So I offered that to the guys, and the original producer of that sound effects record said, "Yeah, no problem." And so we recompiled and remixed and retimed all these clocks, ticking and chiming at the right moment.
The album's most notable sonic elements and aspects, and the recruitment of Claire Torrey.
I put her name forward as somebody who could do a good job on the song. I really didn't know what they were looking for. They said, "We just need a girl singer on this song," and I said, "Well, I know a great singer called Claire Torrey." I didn't realize that they didn't have any words for her.
Yeah.
And she, of course, well, on the first take, she tried to put in a few "yeah, babies" and "oh yeah, I love you, baby," and all that kind of stuff,
right.
just to sing something. And then, after she'd done it once, the guy said, "No words, just sounds." And but that was what was remarkable about her performance on that. She just improvised away, and no words, just wailing.
So to put money under the microscope even more, the extended instrumental jam that makes up the majority of Money was a collaborative effort. Gilmour conducted the time change as well as his own guitar parts and his vocal performances. Wright and Mason improvised their parts with their usual instinctive brilliance. Dick Parry's tenor sax solo and Gilmour's guitar solos are incredible blasts of the true power of classic rock. It was Gilmour's idea to have Parry blow on Dark Side of the Moon. The two were friends, went back all the way back to Gilmour's days with the band Joker's Wild. Parry's trills on his amazing solo with those meticulous pitch variations produced an exciting urgency to the arrangement of Money. Certainly one of the most gripping sax solos of the rock era for sure. Parsons gave the solo even more color with a slapback delay ambiance that added an unsettling energy to that solo. The series of guitar spotlights on Money were some of the best examples of David Gilmour's greatness. David Gilmour's solos feature contrasting wet sections with thick reverb and delay effects and dry sections. He took the concept of a guitar solo to a whole new level on Money, unleashing 3 divergent guitar solos. The first 2 were performed on a Fender Stratocaster, the Black Strat, of course, and the last solo came from Gilmour playing on a custom-made Bill Lewis guitar. The second solo by Gilmour is performed dry and empty with the production effects such as reverb turned off, giving that section an intimate, unplugged feel as if there were 4 musicians jamming together in a small room. The energy of the song just rises on that third solo with the dramatic return of the reverb and echo, along with added rhythm guitar and bigger chaotic percussion. To produce the distinctive, piercing high notes that distinguish the third and final solo, David Gilmour played a customized Lewis guitar with 24 frets, allowing for a full 4-octave range of towering intensity. Now, another of David Gilmour's finest is his commanding vocal on Money, where he threatens the conniving scammers. "I'm all right, Jack, keep your hands off of my stack." I'm all right, Jack, keep your hands off of my stack. He admonishes the hypocrites, "Money, it's a hit. Don't give me that do-goody-good bull." Don't give me that do-goody-good bullshit. He's such an underappreciated vocalist. One of the most captivating characteristics of the Pink Floyd experience is hearing all those strange sounds and voices that stimulates the cerebellum from start to finish. Dark Side of the Moon is full of peculiar voices and auditory animation. The random voices at the end of Money are particularly interesting.
Yes, absolutely right. I certainly was in the right.
Waters drew up flashcards with deep philosophical questions written on them. And then he showed the card to people that were, hanging around the studio. I mean, we're at Abbey Road here. And taped their immediate answers to his queries. The responses Waters liked, they made the album. Among the people questioned was a doorman, a roadie, a road manager, the road manager's wife, and Paul and Linda McCartney. Now, neither Paul nor Linda's answer made the recording because Waters said that they were both trying too hard to be funny. They just didn't come off natural or spontaneous like Roger wanted. We know that Roger was immovable when he had a vision in his mind. Patricia Watts, who was then the wife of Pink Floyd's road manager, Peter Watts, delivered the line about the geezer that was cruising for a bruising during the closing fade of Money. Peter Watts' maniacal laughter, that was used on the Dark Side of the Moon track, Brain Damage. In addition to his work with Pink Floyd, Peter Watts was the father of award-winning actress Naomi Watts. The most memorable response to Waters' questions that was used on Money was actually the one from McCartney's guitarist Henry McCullough from his band Wings, who is also hanging out at the Abbey Road. With the tape recorder running, McCullough quipped to Waters' question, "I don't know, I was really drunk at the time."
I don't know, I was really drunk at the time. You just told me it was a number.
That phrase took on an unfortunate resonance, though, when a little bit later, about a decade later, McCullough's career nosedived and he succumbed to a severe alcohol problem. After returning to his home in Ireland, McCullough nearly severed 3 of his fingers with a kitchen knife during a drunken episode. Following that accident, he was unable to hold a guitar pick for 3 years. McCullough became unemployed and penniless. He lived in government-supplied housing. Now, he began playing music for money on the streets, but in the process, he dried up and he slowly turned his life around. So it was a good ending to the story. McCullough passed away in 2016. He last recorded in 2012.
You want my soul, you want my car, my hat, my guitar.
No one could have predicted the colossal success of Dark Side of the Moon. But when Roger Waters wrote the lyrics for Money, it seemed that he was clairvoyant. After the release of Dark Side of the Moon, the 4 members of Pink Floyd were going to make a ton of money. Never going to have to worry about that again. I mean, Dark Side of the Moon, it's ultimately spent staggering 937 weeks on the Billboard 200 album chart. It sold over 45 million copies around the world since its release in '73. The royalties from that album alone made the band a fortune that would last for a few lifetimes. By design, Money was not released as a single in the UK. From 68 to 79, the band didn't want to release singles in their home country. They made an exception for Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 that topped the UK singles chart just like it did in America, in 1979. Money was a single in other parts of the world, though, and it performed well, even though Pink Floyd was far from being an automatic at AM radio. The single climbed into the top 10 in Austria, France, and Spain, went to number 18 in Canada, and it peaked at number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100. That's their biggest hit up to that point. But Pink Floyd, like Led Zeppelin, was never a singles band. It was about the whole enchilada. You had to hear the song within the context of the album if you were going to hear it. Now, the first time I heard Money was as a little kid. I knew of Pink Floyd at that point through my dad's association, and also through hearing Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, because it hit number 1. I was always listening to Casey Kasem's American Top 40. But Money was a song that really took me a lot of listens to really grasp its luster, if you will. I was, of course, mesmerized by the opening hook. Who isn't? It wasn't necessarily catchy, it was spellbinding. After listening intently to the lyrics, I started to understand it, or at least I thought I did. Little did I know that my 8-year-old self really had no understanding of the message and wouldn't for another few decades, which is really the mark of a great song and a timeless band.
Money, it's a crime.
I mean, you think about it, the song has really never changed. It was recorded as it is now. But as human beings, we gain experience. We evolve, and hopefully we get better, wiser, more ambitious, more empathetic, more forgiving. Or we can go the other way. We can grow bitter, greedy, even narcissistic, unforgiving, even cold. How is it that Pink Floyd has written a catalog so profound that they seem to master the human experience from all sides, and we relate more as we mature? Money continues to be one of the heaviest played songs on classic rock stations everywhere. The song's enormous popularity remains steady, regardless of inflation or the strength of the almighty dollar.
No surprise that they're giving none away.
Leave us a comment about Pink Floyd and this masterful album and this song. What are your memories of Money in this album? What's your life experience with Pink Floyd's catalog? Let us know in the comments. We'll have a great discussion. If you dig our content, make sure to subscribe below so you never miss out on any of our videos. We'd love to have you as part of our community. And check us out on Patreon for more content. Check out our merch. Help us keep the music alive. That's the idea. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Talk to you soon.